This is tutorial 13, programming for web forms. Objectives: reference forms and form fields, create calculated fields, retrieve field values from selection lists and radio buttons, format numeric and currency data, append field names and data URLs, explore the syntax of regular expressions, use a regular expression to extract data from the URL of query string, work with the validity, state, object, create custom validation messages, and validate credit card numbers. Okay. Exploring a forms object, knowledge of properties and methods of the form object and the elements it contains essential to program the behavior and contents of a web form. Web forms and elements are part of the hierarchy of objects within the web document. Now here's the model. So you got your window up here under the Windows document, and then under there is however many forms you might have. And within each form, you have elements, however many. And then within each element, you may have options. The elements in this case refer to a selection list. Now, this is the concept that not only web forms or web pages are based upon, but this is also the concept that Windows in general is based upon. For example, if I do a file open and click browse specifically, pops up this window here. This is not something specifically that the PowerPoint programmers have programmed. This is the default window that pops up, so it propagates down. And that's the concept, is that when you have a upper level here, and then you can think of them as children underneath them, then that code carries down. Now, it doesn't necessarily carry down to everything. Obviously, some of the items that are valid up here at the Windows state are not valid down here at the option state. JavaScript organizes forms in the following object collection: document.forms, and then your ID ref is the index number or ID of the form. And you can also reference it in your code as document.forms, then whatever you gave the name. Now that's just I don't know if the web forms is over here or not. Yeah, there is. You see here where we got name is equal to my form. ID is also something you may see. And then my form is a name that you can reference. See, specifically in this case, document.forms and then the name of the form. And then fname is the name of the input. So there's different ways you can refer to it, as you can see. These are some properties and methods. Typically, how you identify a method, and this is not in JavaScript, it's the same programming language, is if it has parentheses. If it doesn't have parentheses, it's usually a property. For example, length. Form.length is not necessarily a method, but a property. Now, they're kind of interchangeable. Because you can call something that would return something, but you can also basically do a dot length and it returns the length. And again, we refer to this form dot elements and then ID ref. Now you see that they got name here, and that's what they're using up here is the name. I'm not sure of the actual difference between those, but sometimes you can use name, sometimes you can use ID. So they're kind of interchangeable in some circumstances. I wouldn't say all. Element can also be referenced using this name or ID attribute using the following expression: forms.elements.name. Here's where you got something called order date. Doesn't really specify whether oh, that's from the order form. I don't remember if that's ID or name, but it doesn't matter. You do document, that's your higher level. Dot order form, that's your form within. Dot elements, and of course, that refers to your elements within the form. And then dot order date, and so that refers to the name of it. Let's see here. Document.forms. Let's see if this will let us do this. No alert. Should have ran validate on return or on submit. I don't know why my alerts didn't work there. My form, maybe that's it. There it goes. Test. So that shows you how you can access that in that manner. Now let's try a different way. Because they're implying that we can do form or document. I'm looking to run one. Document dot name of the form dot fname or elements. Elements dot fname dot value. Let's see if they're right. I don't think I ever referred to it that way. I always just pull it using the way we've looked in the past. Test. Okay, sure enough, you can refer to it in that manner. And by the way, in case you're wondering what this is doing, when you have a JavaScript and you have action equals here, when they submit this, besides running this code, it'll also run this this code here, action underscore page.php. PHP is a programming language. Within that, you can you can put HTML, and embedded in HTML, you can put programming languages, and even more than that, you can put database. So it's free. It's open source, so it works hand in hand with MySQL. So you oftentimes see that. Reference the field using the value of the field name attribute using the following expression. So form.field. Let's see. So another way they're telling you can access it. So instead of putting a document on there, which kind of is assumed, I mean, if you're in the web page, you're in the document. So you say you can just put the form name dot the name or ID, then dot whatever property you're trying to access. Set the value of an input control. Use the following expression: element.value equals value. So down here, my form.fname.value equals to done. I'll run that. 333. Well, it didn't stay very long, but you notice that it did change it to done. So that's how you can change something on your form. Get rid of that PHP. That's interesting. Team City. I have no clue why it's doing that. Huh. Um, Interesting. I got a on submit. Hmm. Um, Probably has to do with it being a form and being done on a post, if I had to guess. Um, File you asked for does not exist. I'm not asking for a file. Okay, get rid of my everything on my form except for the name. Oh well. Not sure why it's doing that. Unless the fact that even though I got rid of it, there's still something there that's running. Okay, here's different field values for input boxes. You can access the max length, the name, the pattern, size, type. You can call blur, focus, select. So there's a lot of different options you can do. Interesting. It was a web form part that was causing that issues. I was just curious. So like this, input.focus gives focus to the input box. Let's try to put the fname dot focus. Okay, so currently my focus is right here because I'm in the box. When I click out here though, it doesn't put the focus there. Fname. What if I have to put document dot fname? Let's see. Unless I do need the form there. That is an input, right? Yeah, that's an input. I'm not gonna be able to test that. But anyway, if you put the entire qualifier on there, it should put focus to the input box. Focus means it puts cursor in there. Let's see. Here's one where you got order form, name of the form, dot elements, dot, then the name of whatever it is, dot value, and then equals. The order date might be a input. Equals new date. This creates a new instance of a date object, and specifically when you have the date, you don't put anything inside the parentheses. It defaults to the current date and time. That's the way they designed that that particular object. And this is a call. This is creating an instance and calling a constructor. For those who are familiar with object-oriented technology, and then dot to date stream. Since this is a date object, and we're trying to assign it to a string. You need to convert it to a string. And this is what we're talking about element.focus. That puts focus there. Order form dot elements dot model dot focus. I wonder if because I didn't put elements. I wouldn't think that mattered because they said you could do either way. It just doesn't like this form part. Yeah, it's not setting the focus there. But that's the way it's supposed to work. Now here's for a selection list that we've talked about. The different options you can access. Length, multiple, name, all those. Now these selection list properties and methods. Some of these you call, some of them you call them like a method, and then some of them are just like properties, like length. Now they're organized into options object collection, where you do select.options, and then your ID ref. And ID ref is the index number or ID of the option. Here's properties of the options. So option.selected, option.index, option.text, option.value, option.default selected. This is if you have the person click one of the items in the list, and then you click a button to see which one is selected. This is how you can check. Um, option.selected returns true if the option has been selected by the user. So you're looping through all of your options and checking to see if it's selected. Now here, we're declaring a variable order form, and we're just setting it equal to document.forms.orderForm. So document is your web page, your forms, just forms, and then .orderForm is the name of the web form. We do that so we don't have to fully qualify it down below. So now I say variable model is equal to orderForm.elements.model. This order form right here comes from the order form right here. So by putting this on the front of it, you don't have to put document.forms.orderForm. You can just say order form. And now that we've done order form.elements.model, then down here in the model index, all we have to refer to it is model. So instead of putting document.forms.orderForm.elements.model selected index. So it's kind of a shorthand way of referring to the different elements without writing it all out, without putting this out completely. And then down here they're doing model.options. This is referring to, I'm assuming the based upon a zero indexing, the one that's selected. I don't see selected index here. There it is. Selected index number of the currently selected option. Some programming languages, besides selected index, is kind of standard in every programming language. But some programming languages have selected value. Because if you have the selected index, then you have to then go another step to get what the value is in the list. And so some of them have a selected value option. That's what, see how this is right here? That's our selected index up here, and dot value. Let's see. Order form.elements.model.selected index. That's whatever selected. And then it refers to the M index right here. Again, it becomes very cumbersome if instead of M index right here, if you have to type order form.elements.model.selected index. It just gets very long and wordy. And then you've assigned M cost. They use it down here. So we've assigned M cost the value. The Q index, order form.elements.quantity.selected value. This is where you appear to have two lists. So you have one list for the model and you have one list for the quantity, I'm assuming. And you select those, and then it retrieves the values M cost and quantity and uses them in calculation. Now you have radio buttons too, option or radio buttons, grouped by common field name placed within the array index. You have some of the same options: checked, default checked, disabled, name, value. So it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with an option or radio buttons. Check boxes. You have some of the same options. And don't think I've ever done that, but that's a way you can use CSS to retrieve the property, looks like. So you got your input, and then name equals protection, so the name you gave it, and it's returning checked. And then after you've set that, then down here is where you do your order form, document.forms.order form, and then this here refers to elements dot protection. So protection matches that. I don't integrate CSS very much with JavaScript when I program. Probably save me a lot of programming. Now here we got our for loop. So we're starting at 0, going to, while I is less than protection.length, I++. And here is checking if protection of I dot checked is equal to true. If so, it's assigning this off the value. And it looks like it's looking for the first one that's checked, because you can't have more than one checked. And that's why they have the break there. That break will throw you out of the for loop completely. Checkbox is the same as options. A lot of the, in them, not just JavaScript, but many programming languages, these two kind of go hand in hand. Not sure what that has to do with checkboxes. Checkbox you have to check to see if it's checked. And I'm not seeing where it's checking that. Let's see. Checkboxes. Okay. See if they have checkboxes here. I'm going to checkboxes under the forms. There's tutorials point. This is a tutorialspoint.com. I love this site too. It's not as interactive as the other one, but if you're trying to get up and running on something fairly fast, it has about everything out here, it seems like. Let's see, JavaScript. As I said, that I probably won't find forms. Well, objects number might be under objects. Sometimes not. Here's regular expressions. I thought I clicked it. That's nice. Well, forget that then. Unless they're just all coming up in this here. JavaScript isn't coming up with anything. Oh, it's down here. It didn't go down far enough. Okay. And that's going to take up a quarter of our screen, always looks like. Let's see if there's a select here. I don't know why I couldn't see that before. But here's we're talking about the checkbox. Of course, it's checked or not checked. And again, they use the standard way I showed you to use it. So document.getElement by ID my check, and that makes the association between checkbox and that particular element. So then down here, you have to just simply do a dot check to see if it's true, and then you do whatever. To control the number of digits displayed by the browser, you can use the toFixed method. To have more control of the numeric format, use the following method to locale string, where locale is a comma-separated list of location, language codes, and options, a comma-separated list of formatting options for numeric values. I don't think I've ever used that. I guess you can tell it currency, or the style, decimal, currency, or percent. This would be code designates a country or language. Let's see. I'll give you examples there. Now you can do form events. JavaScript supports event handlers to respond to user actions within a form. Your element.on blur, on change, on focus, on input, on invalid. Now where we saw this at, they're talking about creating your own listener. But You see where we have on click here? What are some of these? On blur, the form element has lost the focus. On blur equals blur it. Let's see. Function blur it. Go back there. Of course, there's nothing else to click. Oh well, I guess you can click anywhere. See, and it says on back there. That's where you can program where it's lost focus. You can program where it's changed. Now they're programming on click, which is basically the same thing as on changed. What was it? Input, I think. There. And so here, on what did I say? No memory. On change equals text changed. Something like that. And then you have a function down here. Function on or text change. And let me try to refer to that. Document dot no name. Name equals to B1. B1 dot value equals happy. That didn't work on change, text change. See, I don't got something right here. Unless it should be dot text. Let's see, var b equals document dot get element by ID b1 b and change this to ID. See, when I change it, changes it to happy. I wonder if it's the fact that I had it as name instead of ID. Let's see, document. Like I say, that's the way I usually program in JavaScript. I don't do this. Document dot elements dot b1 dot value equals what? No. Oh well, I'll just keep using this what I've been using forever. But again, there's just saying you can program those. I wonder what that means. Element on invalid. I never have done anything with that. Element value is invalid. How would it tell that? Huh. This talks about on change. It's on change again, showing that. Hidden fields. Um, order form dot elements dot model name dot value equals, and then sets equal to this value. Try to remember how to do hidden fields. I've used them in the past. That's it if you got information you need to save off, but you want it only for programming purposes. Like you're trying to pass it to a PHP program, for example, and you don't want the user to control it at all. So that's where you can have it hidden. HTML hidden fields example. Nothing exciting about it there. You just say type equals hidden, has an ID, customer, and then it's got a value. So you got this that's hidden. They don't see that at all. Now let me copy that. Let's save it. Code was saved. You get a URL. Share with others. Copy. Okay, save that. I'm in my temp folder. Actually, put an introduction to computer science. I call it hidden. HTML all. Excuse me. And hidden. Okay, so I'm gonna right click on this and do view page source. Notice I can see it here. Saying it's hidden doesn't necessarily mean that they can't view the page source and see the value. So you don't necessarily like put a password there. But that's information that really doesn't have anything to do with what they're doing. You don't want it to change. Maybe it came from another page where they put in their customer ID, and then this is just kind of carrying that information through. Like you have a multi-page. Like if I order something from Amazon, maybe first it would ask me to sign in, and so it'd pass in maybe my sign-in information to the next page, and you pass it in with one of the techniques is using a hidden. Another way, by the way, is like I'll go to admissions here, and I'm a high school student. Complete an application for admission. Start a new application. Boy, this is complex. Okay. Now notice up here. It looks like maybe there's information that's being passed. So instead of it being hidden on the form on the web page, you can pass it in a URL. So sometimes you'll see this becomes very lengthy up here as you're passing more and more information. Action. Now see here, this is not putting that information up here. But the idea is, how do I save that information? It's now gone. That's on that previous page. You got different choices. You could make them hidden information that you're passing through from page to page. That's one way. Or at this point in time, they might have started a database record. They submitted. I created, had them do an SQL insert and inserted a record in a database. And as I keep filling this out, it'll add more to that record. I have no clue how they did this. The beauty of having it all within here, like in hidden forms and so forth, is that it's not interacting with the database. Because this didn't have any "Are you a robot?" type thing. So if this was accessing our database and I was a malicious person, I could sit here and on this screen right here, I could write a program that sits there and submits name after name. And so it'd fill up our database with garbage. By having it carry through from screen to screen, that eliminates some of it. Plus those little "Are you a robot?" catcha type things helps in that regard too. Let's see, I'm running out of time. Let's see what else there is interesting. Here's where I was talking about where you can append the information to the URL and pass it from form to form. Problem with this is they see it and it becomes very cumbersome to work with. Probably not such a big deal that they see it, that they entered it. Location object, text strings. Here's another way you can use a constructor to create a string. We've seen strings in the past, but var string variable, that's your variable name, whatever you want to call it, equals new string, and then text is like you can have it in quotes a name or something. You can extract a single character. String.slice. Let's say that I'll just briefly mention this, but let's say they're entering in the date like this. String.slice allows you to extract substrings. The string is based upon a 0 index, so this would be position 0, position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is our position. And it says, if I get this out of the way, to extract substrings, use string.slice, start and then end, where start is the starting index and end is the index value which the slicing stops. Which means if I want to get the month, so month would equal to string, well, let's say this name of this string was called the date. Then the date dot slice, and it go from position 0, the starting, and end is the index value which slicing stops, so that'd be position 1. So that would extract the 0, 1 off my date. My day would equal the date dot slice. The date starts at position 3 and goes to 4. And then year is equal to the date dot slice, and it starts at position 6 and goes to position 9. So that's how you could use that. Every programming language that's decent has some kind of feature to extract part of the string. They're called by different names, but this one is called slice. Some are called substring. I think in mid, it's Visual Basic. It's been a while. Here's how to search for a certain character. This comes in handy because if I don't know if they put that in or if they put it in this form. Both those are potential that a person would enter in as a date. Well, the question then becomes how do you extract the month and day and year at that point? Well, you do it instead based upon positions of the slash. So /1 is equal to the date dot index of, and I'm looking for a slash. That'll give me my position of my first slash. Then /2, you're looking for the position of your second slash. So you do the date dot index of. Now this would just return the first slash again. It would do it all day long. Here you have to put where you're starting from, where you start from the look. Well, I'm going to start at /1 plus 1. So this is going to return position 1. So that's going to return 1 because that's where this slash is. It's in position 1. This next one, I'm going to look. That's position 1 plus 1, so that's going to start looking at position 2. So starting from position 2, which is this 1, it'll look for the next slash. Okay, well, what good's that? This, by the way, this returns, what does this return? 4. So that returns 4. Now, when I work with dates, I have to actually write out a simple example like this, wrap my mind around it. So then month is going to equal to the date dot slice, and it starts at position 0, and it'll go to 1 less than /1, like that. Well, let's think about that. Starts in position 0. This is position 0. /1 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, so it goes from 0 to 0. So that gets that. Now that'll also work with this, which I'll talk about in a minute. Day is equal to the date dot slice, and this will start 1 greater than the position of the slash. So I'll say, oops, not that. I think I screwed that up. It should be a 12, I think. Okay. So I'll take /1 plus 1. So that'll start in position 2. And I want to go to /2 minus 1. Okay. 1 plus 1 is 2. So that starts in position 2. Right there. So it gets that 1. It goes to /2 minus 1. /2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So it goes to position 3, which is right here, which so means it accesses that. And year is equal to the date dot slice. And there's different ways you can do this, but this will be /2 plus 1, comma. And this is where we'd refer to our length of our string. And I don't remember the exact syntax of it, but let's say it's the date dot length. I don't remember if I need these. I don't think I do. The length minus 1, I believe. Because this length right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So length is 9, but it goes from position 0 to position 8. Now these are no longer hard-coded. If they put that in, it'll work. If they if they had something like this, 1, 1, 19, that would work because it's all based upon the positions of the slashes. Now, if that throws you, don't worry. If this is your first programming class, the more and more you work with strings, the more and more it becomes second nature. Now I could no more write this and fly to the moon off the top of my head. What I have to do is I have to put a example out here, and I have to think it through. What am I trying to get? Where should this be? Should it be /2 minus 1? Should it be /2 plus 1? And then go from there. Regular expressions, I'm just about out of time, but that's a way to search for specialized characters. Probably one of the hardest things is searching for regular expressions. They get some pretty bizarre examples. Again, don't worry about it in this class. Here's an example. And I don't remember what this does exactly. I think it looks for a sequence of 5 numbers, a dash, and a sequence of 4 numbers. I'm guessing. But I don't know what /G does. To me, that's one of the hardest things that they've done. This is a better way. Where you can do these searches. Searches the text string for the character pattern expressed in regular expression RE. So instead of doing it all in one line, you define your search and then you do it this way. Let's see. Writing URL data to a web form. That's not too exciting. Okay, that's probably enough. Let's just talk about card numbers then. Okay, now look ahead. I want to leave time for that. Of course, time me out. Had this all loaded. Okay, next week we're going to have a normal class. So I'll be covering material. We'll have another test over that. And then the final exam. There won't be any programming project on it. The final is Unit 15 and Unit 16. So those tests are there. They're due May 1st. It should be 2 weeks from today. If you're missing anything from the beginning of time, then let me know. Send me an email, and I'll get those open back up. Usually the last 2 weeks is kind of spent getting caught up for students, on anything they missed. If you turn something in, I can be lenient on the grading. It's like, okay, well they kind of had a general idea it wasn't working quite right, and depending upon the severity of what you've turned in, you may get full points. If it's just a minor thing, if you did half the project, then you may get half points. But again, let me know about those. And we're coming down near the end. And anyway, that's your final exam. I'll probably go ahead and make those available this weekend. So if you want to go ahead and finish those, you can. If you want to hold off, that's fine too, because I know everybody's got a lot of projects they're working on and so forth. Questions on anything? What's going to be the final exam and so forth? Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and stop recording. I'm over time.